Hi everyone, it's Rachel and welcome to another episode of the Plant Sumo Podcast. Today I am here with Cece, who is a health coach. She's an instructor for the UK brand Dripset, and she's all around an empowering, motivational, amazing person. And I'm super excited to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on, Cece.
Thank you, Rachel. Happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's great. Obviously, I've just mentioned your kind of ethos and the drive behind what you do because you are a plant-based health coach and you help so many people reach their kind of like diet and fitness goals, right? So I'm just curious, like, how did you reach the place where you were like, this is what I want to do with my life, this is what I'm devoted to, and like, how did you go about developing this whole sort of outlook and message?
Sure. So honestly, this where I've got to now has happened in the course of this year. Honestly, I feel like the pandemic, everything that's happened, some people are just like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I need to change something. And other people are like, hey, I got free time. I don't know. But for me, it's like, wow, I'm working from home all this time. I've got so many more hours of the day. How can I invest more of my time into myself and things that I enjoy? I am still working part-time in the corporate world, but I have always just been into eating healthily. I've been plant-based for a few years now. But I went through a transition of being sort of more unhealthy vegan, eating lots of processed foods. Then I got into eating more whole foods and I began instructing fitness. And yeah, most people would ask me like, oh, how do you get your abs and all of this stuff? And I thought in my mind, like, okay, I do work out, but honestly, it's what I eat. Even times when I haven't been exercising, I've still managed to keep relatively slim. So I thought, how can I sort of promote that message about eating nutritiously? And in the course of that, I discovered that a lot of women who are trying to lose weight, they go for these fad diets and these really quick fix ways of losing weight. And I wanted to help mend the relationship these women have with food and also themselves. Like for me, it's a lot about like loving yourself however your body looks and, you know, choosing health and you know, the weight falls off if it needs to.
Yeah, I did Instagram how there is that focus on like empowering women to reach their kind of goals, and I was really curious like what's the sort of angle for this. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, especially like obviously your like primary platform is kind of Instagram in regards to social media, and on there are like so many unhealthy and unrealistic not just images but people promoting, like you said, all these like fad diets and kind of temporary lifestyles that aren't going to aid you in terms of like long-term health and like like how you necessarily want your body to look. But I'm curious, how do you feel about the whole body positivity movement? Because that kind of factors in, I suppose, to like what you're talking about loving yourself and your body at every stage of your fitness journey.
Yeah, so I'm 100% for all types of body positivity. I think all of us were made differently and in different ways. And obviously we know the media sort of perpetuates this certain image of what looks beautiful and, you know, what looks good. But everyone is different. Everyone's had different experiences. And although being overweight is obviously not good for your long-term health, who are we to judge how that person got to that stage? Like you can make a choice to make changes in your life to feel better inside. It doesn't matter if you're not slim. Not everyone wants to be slim, but I think the goal is to just love the body in your body you're in, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And I can remember because, I've struggled myself with like my weight and getting healthier. And like over the last few couple of years, I kind of dealt with a lot of things like disordered eating and getting my weight and fitness under control. And that whole attitude of like, you have to love yourself because it's only through love you're going to start making those choices which are truly beneficial. I know that sounds so cheesy.
It's not cheesy at all. I'm 100% behind you on that.
Yeah, it's like if you make choices out of shame, there will be points in your life where you will go back to those kind of coping mechanisms, right, that keep you unhappy because they only give you temporary forms of happiness. And really, when you do things like, I don't know, like binge eat, or if that is, say, like a coping mechanism that comes out of shame or something, that's not like, you're treating yourself, but it's not loving yourself. Do you get what I mean? Like it's harming yourself, really, in a sense.
Yes, I need you to be like my advocate for basically everything that I stand for. And this is like one of the main areas when I'm working with my clients. It's sort of addressing that mindset of, like you said, eating. I don't know how you said it, but you said it perfectly. But yeah, there's emotional eating and eating to like fill this internal void. Food will not fill that, and it's gonna come from loving yourself unconditionally. And yeah, so we tackle different things like binge eating and going through that cycle of punishing yourself because you feel bad and you feel shameful about what you've eaten. There's no reason to eat with shame. If you're going to eat a slice of pizza, eat 5 slices of pizza, eat it, be happy, and just move on. The next time you can have something a little bit healthier. And that's the approach I take, like small steps towards health.
Yeah, I just think that's so amazing, and it's literally the perfect attitude to have to food and fitness. And what I really love about your platform is it's just like such a total mix. You have videos where you talk directly to your audience and stuff like that about the kind of decisions you've made moving to a plant-based diet. Like I remember when I watched recently about you talking about how you replaced, I think, like, because you really like chocolate raisins and like peanut. And I was like, this is great. This is what people want to hear. Do you get what I mean? They want to know how you manage these things, which are actually quite difficult, even though they're really small, like replacing food you like.
Yeah, it's true. Because honestly, there's so much content and information out there. It's overwhelming,
Yeah.
and just not even to mention the impact of marketing and foods being promoted as healthy, and they're just packed with sugar, packed with tons of things which aren't necessarily the best for your body. So there is a part of it about learning. It's like I help empower people to learn to find and like read between the lines, like learn how to read labels and know what to look for, and yeah, not be fooled by everything not everything is as it seems. So you need to be inquisitive, and I always say that, like in my Facebook group, I'm like, don't even trust me, don't listen to what I have to say, do your own research and feel confident in the decisions you're making for yourself.
Yeah, like I think that's so true about like a surprising amount of like ingredients being of things like you would never expect. I mean, you talk about sugar, I immediately think of Innocence movies where I went from my whole life being like, these are so healthy, but they're literally packed with like sugar as much as like Coke.
That is true. It's true.
Yeah, but also that there is that whole sort of aspect of like, if you are on a plant-based diet, there are animal products and things as well that you would never expect. Like I've been told there are animal products in cereals, which is the last thing that I would have. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is true though, because sometimes you see some foods and it says suitable for vegetarians and not vegans, and I'm like, why? Why? Like something like the plainest thing. Why would this have milk or eggs, or I don't even know.
It just feels like they've put it in there for the sake of it, and you're just like,
Yeah, but then I don't know if it's like, like how with nuts it says may contain nuts or created an environment with nuts. Is it because of that? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should go undercover and just check out all these supermarkets and what they're packing like. So actually, on the subject of food, I was thinking, because you do like recipes and stuff that you show people. What are your sort of like personal favorite meals that you would like cook throughout the week if you just need something quick and like simple?
Okay, so at the moment, the past month, I've been using HelloFresh. So
Oh, amazing.
the recipe packs. But normally, I love chickpea curry. That's like one of my favorite things to eat. It's just quick. I can just put in the ingredients, let it stew a bit, and it tastes delicious. What else? What are my other go-tos? I love pesto pasta, like mushrooms and peppers and different things. And I love a good salad. I love a good salad. I like
I don't know, like, why do people always have to like hate on salads? Like, if you make them good, they taste amazing. Like,
right? You can do so much with them. Sometimes I chop up and put some apples in there. I put nuts and just grains. You can do so much with salad. It doesn't need to be boring at all.
yeah. And when people are like, "Oh, that's rabbit food," I'm like, "What world are you living in?" Like,
No, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea why. Like, eating veg has such a bad rep. Like, people like, I don't know. I think they feel like it won't fill them up, or guess that idea that there's not enough protein as well if you're not eating meat. Yeah, so many things.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I think plenty of people with veg, they're like, "Oh, this doesn't taste that great," because they don't necessarily know how to cook it.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing with people. Like, they steam their veg or boil it, and then they're like, "Why does this taste like crap?" And it's like, come on.
Yeah, no, that is actually really true. Because if all you're eating is like frozen that fruit, that veg mix, and just putting it in the microwave or boiling it, of course you're not gonna like veg. That's just horrible. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
It's
you
about
could
getting
just.
creative with how you cook, getting inspired by things you see online or looking at recipes, just trying new stuff really.
Yeah, exactly. And like what you said with protein as well, I think that's so crazy. That's such a huge misconception. Like, oh, if you become vegan, you're immediately going to become lanky and not have any muscle because you can't get any protein. But there are like huge protein sources, like, which are entirely vegan, like nuts and grains and stuff like that. I say all this, I'm not an expert.
No, honestly,
Like,
I'm not. I wouldn't call myself an expert either,
mm,
but it's about you need to educate yourself. Don't always depend on just trusting the information that's more like immediately available. Dig a bit deeper and just use your logic. If you needed to eat meat to have protein, how would animals that are the meat themselves get the protein they need? It's just like
yeah.
just common sense.
That's true. That's true. That's a really logical way of thinking about it. And I mean, you say you're not an expert, but like, you've got those abs, girl. Clearly, you're doing something
Yeah,
right.
life experience, I'll call it, yeah.
So, obviously, we were just discussing how like you've worked in like the corporate sphere and everything, and you've kind of like come to this position through like lockdown and everything, in which this is a new area of your life that you're kind of like prioritizing and teaching people about and stuff like that. I'm really curious, have you like dealt with quite a lot of people who have like started up new fitness journeys like through lockdown, or have been like struggling with what they eat and everything? Because I know that's a huge thing, like everyone moving to starting their new fitness journey, maybe getting a Peloton or something.
Yeah. No, it's actually so true. Like even like I'll start with my best friend.
Mm.
Like we always talk about sort of health stuff and like, oh, you eat so healthy and oh, I couldn't do fitness. I just don't like it. But since this lockdown, she has been on it. She's been exercising a lot. She's even gonna like join the army cadet
Oh,
thing.
wow.
She's doing a fitness thing for that. And I hope I've played a role in inspiring her. But yeah, it's just lovely to see so many people deciding to prioritize their health.
Mm.
Obviously, a pandemic is related to health, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's good that people are taking it into their own hands. Like, we don't
Mm.
need to depend on, like pills to solve everything. This starts with what you're putting in your body every day.
Yeah, that's so true. And I mean, I think part of why people feel like, oh, this is the time I can actually seize and take control of, my fitness, but in my own destiny, to be a bit like, is because, people work these jobs where it's 9 to 5 and they have absolutely no free time, and they constantly have work on their mind, even when like, they're going to bed at night. And, for that reason, things like fitness and even just cooking, like so many people do not have the time to cook a healthy meal at the end of the day, becomes so difficult. And I mean, obviously, pandemic, horrendous, has impacted so many people's lives in such a disastrous way. But I think one positive benefit, it showed so many people what life could be like if everything wasn't so dominated by like this cycle of work,
I know. Oh, yes, it's so true.
Mm.
Um, like honestly, I've just in my working career, I have just felt sometimes like my life is work. And when you're finished at the end of the day, if you work late into the night, sometimes it's like you get your weekend or your evening, but you're just exhausted. You don't really want to do anything, or you just want to like go out partying and like forget the week before the next one has to begin. And yeah, I really hope that, like you said, the benefit of this terrible situation is that we get to just take more of our lives back. We don't need to go back to the office like 5 days a week. We can spend more time with our families, spend more time doing things with our partners, things for our, you know, what we enjoy. And that's the way life should be. It shouldn't be dominated by work. You shouldn't be going to sleep dreaming about your manager and like a project you're working on. But it's the reality. I've had those dreams.
Yeah, just hearing that is so like we needed a pandemic for so many companies to realize that like remote working is the future. It just makes you angry in a way. But yeah, I totally agree. And I know quite a lot of fitness professionals who've been doing the whole like Zoom like workout class. Have you done any of those? Like,
yes, that is actually how I started, because I qualified to instruct end of last year, but I didn't do anything about it for the first 6 months. So I started out teaching classes on Instagram Live and Zoom, and then I'm currently doing like Dripset hip hop Pilates, as you mentioned earlier. We are in the studio. Obviously, lockdown is going to take us out of the studio for a bit, but yeah, a mix of online and studio classes.
oh, that's so cool. I mean, does it feel weird training people, you know, on an online platform? Like, how does it feel necessarily doing that with the kind of distance?
I think it's more difficult online in a way, because you don't have like the energy and atmosphere of the room. And when there's people there, you can see, okay, they're struggling with this position. Let me give this instruction so that they can, you know, improve their hip alignment or something. When you're on video, you can sort of watch the little screen, but it's not the same. But you know, you have to just do the best that you can. You can still run a great online class, but having that experience teaching in studio gives you the right balance as an instructor in general. But yeah, I think the great thing about all of these online classes now is that it's made it accessible for so many more people. Some people not be close to like somewhere to work out, or maybe they just don't even feel confident enough to be in a space with other people working out. And doing it behind a screen makes them feel, you know, more comfortable to try it. So yes, everything's got two sides, right?
No, that is such a great point, especially about people who like either they can't access the facilities in the first place, or like they're not confident enough. Because I know personally, my journey of getting fitter did not begin in a gym. It started with like doing Chloe Ting videos off YouTube.
Yes, it starts on YouTube. It's true.
It's nice, you know, because I think sometimes when you walk into a gym, like whether or not this is true and whether or not it's imagined, it depends on the gym, right? But there is that whole kind of implication of like, you know, a culture where people are like competing and you're being judged on how you look, you know, and stuff like that. And obviously you see people in there who have these like incredible physiques and you're just like, oh my God. But yeah, it's largely a sort of mental thing, isn't it? Like kind of conquering that.
It is, honestly, it's definitely mental. And to be honest, everything that's going through your mind, like, oh, look at all these people. Everyone is thinking the exact same thing. So don't worry, they're not looking at you. They're worrying about what you're thinking about them. So once you kind of get past that hurdle, yeah, you just do your thing, man. Whatever you look like, just do it for you. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Literally just like most incredible advice, you know, just do your thing, every aspect in life, you know.
It's true.
Just embrace like what you're doing. And yeah, exactly. I mean, something I find really cool about you and your platform as well is like obviously with the videos that you do of like yourself doing like specific exercises and everything, you know, like they're like really accessible in terms of the moves and stuff like that, because you do have such a range of kind of exercises that you do, from things which are more like intensive to things that people can kind of start off with more. And like the music choices, I'm just like, you watch so many fitness videos and the music is so stale, and you're just like, bro. But it's great. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, music. Honestly, music. I love good music. I love good music. I actually started another Instagram which was all focused on fitness, but then the brand I have now was a bit more leaning towards nutrition. But yeah, it's got to have a good track behind it. It's got to. It's must have.
Oh no, I gotta like.
I love Dripset as well, because I love like hip hop, R&B, and just like jazz hop, chill hop music, and we just bring all of that to the session, and you can work out in style, having fun. Yeah, music is a big part of my life.
I'm gonna ask you now like the most like annoying question ever, which is like,
I'm ready.
who would you say is your favorite like musician?
Oh, that is very easy for me right now.
Oh.
I mean, it changes. I wouldn't say my lifetime favorite, but my current favorite is Misleading.
Ooh.
I could listen, honestly, like I could just listen to some tracks for hours. Yeah, a long time. Misleading, he's really good. He plays a saxophone.
Oh,
He
cool.
sings, and he's just got a nice chill vibe. Yeah, he's cool.
I feel so uncultured now because I don't know who that is. I've got to check them out, because if you can play saxophone, in my eyes, you're just like up there musically, like God tier.
He's so good. Like, and I saw him in concert, and he did like no, I don't know if he did this in a concert or I saw it on a YouTube video but he did basically a live thing where he starts singing and like playing the instruments and creating the song as you're watching. So it's
Oh
like
my God.
creating the thing. Yeah, he's really talented in my opinion. But I don't think he's that big or massively known. He's still been growing over the past few years, but definitely check him out for sure.
I think that's really cool though, when you discover an artist who isn't like that big yet, and you always like, you get to like be there with them as you see their career kind of grow and develop and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's bigger than that, but he's maybe he hasn't spread to everywhere if you haven't heard about him yet. But what's your favorite artist, would you say?
Oh God, it's a difficult question. I'm a huge fan of like, I've always loved Nina Simone and like her music. She's one of my favorite. Like, I'm a huge fan of like old jazz and stuff like that. But I also really like Doja Cat, because it's just good music to like dance to. Like most of the music I listen to now is just like, if I can dance to it, I'm happy with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just have a variety. Like I listen to a mix of different things, but I guess you always have that sort of go-to, or depending on your mood, what space you're in, you listen to more of something than the other. But yeah, if you like jazz, I think you'll probably like Masego.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely have those like tracks where like as soon as I listen to them, like I'm pumped and ready to do something like a proper workout, you know. I don't know what it is, like music can just make you feel like a way that is so intense that it's kind of unlike anything else, and I think that's just amazing.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like music, it touches your soul. It can affect your emotions. It can make you feel sad, make you feel happy, make you feel angry. It can do so many things. Yeah, because music is powerful.
We're just sitting here having like a philosophical debate of music. Like,
we haven't done any research on this, guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So back to plant-based food.
Yeah.
So, I think you said, how many years have you been vegan for now?
Oh, I think it was since 2017. Before that, I was vegetarian. Yeah, I think 3 years. I can't even remember now.
It just feels like it's been so long, you know. It's so natural, like.
Yeah.
So, how was the? Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I just keep chatting. I just don't stop. I was gonna ask, how was the transition for you? Like, did you find it easy, or were some aspects quite challenging?
Um, so when I was young, there's a bit of an echo, I think. Can you? No, it's gone. Okay, sorry. I thought I had a bit of an echo. Okay, so when I was growing up, my parents were vegetarian at some points, vegan even for a little bit, but I don't remember that. So growing up, meat wasn't a massive part of my life, even though I did eat it. And I even remember I found like a little diary I had, and I was like, I'm trying to be pescatarian. I'm not going to eat red meat or chicken. I think I've always been leaning that direction. But yeah, eventually I went vegetarian. It was when I was living in America, and I bought some fish from the store, and it made me sick. And I was like, "No, I don't trust American fish or meat." And I stopped eating it. So that's what made me go vegetarian. And I would occasionally eat fish at restaurants, but I wouldn't ever cook it at home. And then I got back to the UK, and I watched one of those Netflix documentaries about, I can't remember which one it was now, but one of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't eat dairy anymore. So yeah, from that day, I cut out dairy. And then it was just, I was in that space where work was just a massive part of my life. I found it hard to find time to cook, or I couldn't be bothered to cook. So I was just eating out a lot, or getting the ready-made prepared vegan stuff, or the oven things. So yeah, I was eating a lot of processed foods. And then in the past year or so, since this year, I just started cooking more. I actually discovered I have a health issue, which is sort of can be perpetuated by eating a lot of processed foods, eating sugars and different things. So I just cut out tons of processed foods. Even in terms of tins, I soak my beans rather than use tinned ones. So sort of went the completely opposite direction to what I was. But yeah, I feel great. I feel so much better. And I even got a little bit slim. I didn't have a lot of weight, but I kind of got a bit more lean as well since I made that change. Yeah, that's my transition story.
I mean, first of all, I'm so happy to hear you feel just better, healthier in every sort of kind of way, having done that. But yeah, the whole transition of because a lot of people make the presumption that if you're vegan, you eat nothing but salads and 100% healthy food. But you can still eat unhealthily and be vegan. And I think for a lot of people, that is how they get to the point where you did, where you felt obviously, having a health issue obviously contributed to it, and the state you were at in your mind. But in a way, having made that kind of leap where you were like, oh, this diet is sustainable. Do you get what I mean? The stuff is out that I can eat. You were at a point where you could live the healthier sort of version, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It is a transition, and I think it's great things like the Veganuary, the vegan month, just vegan January. Things like that are great because it gives people a chance to try it out. But I mean, in reality, it's hard to go from 100% eating meat and dairy and all those things to suddenly just cutting over to veganism.
Yeah.
Maybe it works for some people, but for most people, it's going to be a gradual transition. Be flexitarian. If you are thinking about going vegan eventually, just do it once a week and build up from there. It doesn't need to be all or nothing. And actually, I don't necessarily like the label vegan because it puts you in a box. If I want to have a piece of chocolate, to be honest, I don't really do that now, but if I did want to, I can. Nothing's stopping me having a cake with egg in it if I want to.
Yeah.
And when you have a bit of that flexibility and you don't box yourself in I can't eat this, then I think it's easier to maintain if you just give yourself that room. And I love saying plant-based because you can be plant-based and still eat fish. All it means is that your meals are more centered around whole and plant-based foods.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I really appreciate what you said there about labels, because that's something we at Plant Sumo don't do either. And I think a huge part of that is, like you said, because there is a culture of kind of like almost judgment and hyper expectation and like purity surrounding labels like vegan, you know. And obviously there are like moral and ethical factors that factor into that, you know, because so many people, you know, yourself included, you care about animals, you care about the environment, you care about all these sort of issues, and that's part of why you follow the diet that you do. But it's not like be all and end all. Like we're all human, you know.
Exactly.
And yeah, and your diet is your own business at the end of the day. Like,
yeah, exactly. And like so many times I feel like people get defensive, like, oh, you're vegan, like, are you going to try and convert me? No, eat whatever you want.
yeah.
Like, you know, when you go out and eat sometimes, well, when we used to eat at restaurants, whatever, like sometimes people will look at what you eat like, oh, that's so healthy. Oh, like it's like they're kind of self-judging, but if they think you're judging, but do what you want, man. Like whatever, it's fine.
And no, it's just like the media literally feeds people this one stereotype of vegans as if like, you know, you eat anything with meat products in it and they're like, excuse me. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's really annoying, you know, because I'm someone where like I've been experimenting with a plant-based diet. I'm not fully plant-based. I've gone in and out of vegetarianism like over the years. And part of why I was like, oh my God, I'm struggling with, you know, being like vegan or plant-based is because I labeled it that, because I felt like, you know, if I did occasionally like mess up and have a bit of chicken, I was then like a terrible person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true. And it brings in that sort of shame and guilt, like, oh, I said I was gonna eat this way and I failed. I I didn't live up to what I've told people I am. But you are whatever you decide you are. And like a label like vegan or plant-based doesn't change that. Eat what makes you feel good at the time. Obviously consider the implications to the world, but like don't make that don't ever eat and feel bad about it. Just feel good in all your choices.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you say, that negative attitude, especially of like being like, you know, oh, I've made this choice, you know, I've messed up, I'm terrible for doing this. Not even just when it's plant-based food, but as well with things like binging or eating unhealthily. Like once you start thinking in that sort of way, you almost want to like punish yourself for having done that, and that just leads to yeah, all this more negative
And
stuff.
it just takes you back in that cycle of doing it over and over again. Like when you mend that mindset, then you're more likely to actually choose the healthier option in the end anyway. That's what you
Yeah.
realize. So yes. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, but it's
Yeah.
so important. It's actually really important with anything you're trying to improve in your health or losing weight or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think part of why we've like stressed this about like 4 times now is because we're such a, you know, we all live online, especially now, you know, coronavirus pandemic, you can't exactly go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah.
And obviously there's so much misinformation and so many like unrealistic and unhealthy standards, which, you know, disproportionately affect women when it comes to things like weight and beauty and fitness and how you necessarily should look. And I think, you know, it's not even necessarily like here's the realistic advice, here's the truth, here's the facts. Sometimes it's just like you need to be kinder to yourself. Do you get what I mean? In terms of like how you want to accomplish the goals you want to, because like I've seen some fitness platforms and their message is so like it's so intense, and it's like, you know, never mess up, you know, not one day.
Just
Yeah.
like yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think it's great. Like anything that's trying to help people is in itself a good thing. However, you just need to find what works for you. And, you know, for some people, maybe going crazy intense on this workout for 90 days and dropping, like, I don't know, 40 pounds in 3 months, maybe that works for them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people need to gradually ease into things. On this, and like since I've got into this industry, I've just been learning things like when you go on diets and you restrict your calories and you go crazy trying to lose weight quickly, you're actually more likely to regain that weight within 5 years. It's like 80% plus of the weight could have been regained according to studies they've done. So it's better for you to take a gradual approach. Like you don't need to go hard and crazy. Just the easiest way is to just make tiny, tiny, tiny changes, and they stack up. That's it.
Yeah, that is really true. You know, focus on making small changes to your life and being realistic in terms of those changes, you know. Again, like saying something like, I'm going to go vegan tomorrow, you know, when you know you really love cheese, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, true. Cheese is addictive.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I was saying on another episode of this, cheese is literally drugs, you know, like it targets the chemical centers in like your brain, which drugs do.
Yeah.
But I think I'm always going to struggle with it. I mean, am I like an addict?
No, but honestly, like cheese was a thing for me as well.
Mm.
It just takes time. I don't know. And actually, there are some vegan cheese replacements are honestly awful. I won't name any brands, but some when I started trying some vegan cheese, I was like, this is disgusting. Oh my God. But there's some brands which give you the sort of texture of cheese and stuff. So yeah, just see if you can replace it, but just don't expect it to be exactly the same. Maybe every now and then switch it in and out. Who knows?
Just like
process.
just really sneakily, yeah. I mean, on those final words, you know, advice about cheese, Cece, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I've really enjoyed this. Just like your whole platform and your message, I think especially right now, it's something that's really, really needed. And I think, you know, you're out there, you're like inspiring, helping so many people, especially women, and like it's great, you know, it's fantastic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So this is or has been another episode of the Plant Sumo Podcast. I've been here with Cece, Plant-Based Bae. You should go follow her on Instagram. It's going to be linked, you know, wherever you're listening or watching this podcast on. Thank you so much again for watching. I'm Rachel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.